Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. I want to begin by showing you some of the data that came out earlier this week. We're looking here at the National Precipitation Rank from May 2018 through April 2019. That year right now ranks as the wettest year on record for the United States. And broken down by state, you can see here several of the states in the U.S. have set their all-time records here. About the only places that were dry were up here in the Pacific Northwest. But you can see parts of the Mid-South, parts of the Mid-Atlantic having their wettest years on record. So this was pretty incredible. Now, over the last couple of days, we are just adding to this total. In addition to 141 reports of severe weather, including 85 reports of winds over 58 miles an hour and 55 more reports of hail plus one tornado, we brought in a lot of rainfall. You can see it in this satellite infrared animation here from GOES-16, our high-resolution satellite that looks right down on the eastern side of the United States. Just look at the thunderstorms just boiling here on the Gulf moisture. Some of these cloud top temperatures were well below minus 70 degrees Celsius. And just to let you know, the colder the cloud top, the bigger and badder the thunderstorm is underneath it. So some of these storms producing an enormous amount of rainfall. We can see that even through the early morning hours, we had picked up with a lightning detection network. This is hosted on a website called Blitzertung. It's one of my favorites. That's 31,000 lightning strikes just in the last hour. So this has been an incredibly powerful storm system, and the thunderstorms are training, which means they're following one another. And when they do that, we tend to add up a lot of rainfall. So you can see here by looking at this map for Friday here, this is the all hazards weather map. We have a large region across the country here down in the southern region that's dealing with flooding. It's going to continue to deal with flooding, both flood watches and flood warnings. And just to let you know, we've got some pretty chilly air on the backside of the system coming down. We have freeze warnings right now through parts of well, really, it's a huge section of the wheat belt. So this is parts of Nebraska getting into Kansas, and we're bringing in some pretty cold air into the panhandle of Oklahoma, Texas, that'll eventually sneak all the way across the southern region with time here. So when we just look at the last 72 hours, I just have to show you this map because it kind of blows my mind here. We have places in here around Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas where we've picked up just in the last 3 days over 6 inches of rain. I've seen numerous videos of vehicles stalled in floodwaters. I've seen incredibly swollen rivers all throughout this area. And I hate to say it, but we're just not done with the precipitation yet. Our next 5 days looks something like this. Now, some of the rainfall you see here, this was a model prediction made very early this morning. So what we can see here is we're getting some of this rain right now, but we do have multiple chances beyond this to continue to bring in the rain, while much of the rest of the country is going to have a chance to try to dry down, albeit cool, while the dry down happens. So this is just a look at your next 5 days here. Talking temperatures, I told you it was going to be cooling down. You can see the colder air that's coming in on that trough. The flow pattern of the atmosphere is doing something like this, and this trough that's in here is sweeping through the south. So the southeast, you still get to hang on to your warmer bias here for a little while, but then you can see that by the time we get to day 6 through 10, because of the position of that trough, much of the southern region is going to see slightly cooler than average temperatures. And it'll be the first time in a while that we'll see some slightly cooler than average temperatures, because we know this region in through here especially is well ahead of normal on the accumulation of growing degree day units. So we're certainly just going to get this slight cool down that's going to last for a little while before we go right back towards some warmer temperatures. Now look at this though. There is some good news here for parts of the lower Mississippi River Valley especially. We're looking here at the days 4 through 11. So we're getting you past the weekend, looking at all of next week. And we can see here that because of the position of that trough, we do have on the back side of it some drier weather that's coming in. Now, please understand, this doesn't mean 7 days from day 4 to 11 of completely dry weather. What it just means is we're drier than our climatological average, and it's spring, so it's usually very wet. But we definitely need this so we can dry out, get the cotton planting going again, get our peanuts going, plant this corn and soybean if we can, because it has been extremely wet. One place that actually needs more precipitation, though, is right here down in parts of southeastern, parts of Georgia and South Carolina, even parts of Florida, because that's been a region over the last, several weeks that has honestly been missed by a lot of the heavier rainfall. So it's something we're going to keep an eye on as we progress through the rest of our spring. But once we get deep into week 2, so this would be valid starting next Friday going into the week following that, The jet stream is kind of telling us that it's going to come screaming across the Pacific, dig into a trough feature that's going to kind of set up right here in the midsection of the country, ridging over the southeast, so we see more drying there, but we're going to light up the Central Plains again with quite a bit of severe weather. So this reprieve we're going to get will be short-lived as the pattern goes right back to being quite active. So with the bigger picture out of the way, let's walk through some of the details here. I'm going to start you off at 6 a.m. on Friday. We're going to look at a model called the HRRR, H-R-R-R, and what we're doing here is we're looking at simulated radar reflectivity to see where these thunderstorms are going to be. And you're going to see that much of our southern region over the next 36 hours here is going to be dealing with quite a bit of thunderstorm activity. Let's go ahead and click play and kind of watch how this evolves. Throughout the morning on Friday, we can see the storms moving through Louisiana and Mississippi. Widely scattered showers and thunderstorms in the southeast from Georgia, moving all the way back to the Carolinas. But notice, because the upper level trough is still hanging out here, it has yet to move east. We get our next round of storms that come through Texas by this afternoon and this evening. And it's, again, difficult to pick up on convective mode here. What I mean by that is it discrete cells? Is it a big squall line? But from New Mexico through Texas today, look at the multiple rounds of storms we're going to be dealing with here. So this is just getting us through the overnight hours on Friday. My concern is that you can see here by early Saturday morning, we're still seeing more rain across a region that was just hammered. We can see the northern extent of these storms getting up into parts of Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas, Missouri, and parts of Arkansas, and that's a region that was also extremely wet recently. We can too see that we'll be bringing some showers and thunderstorms to the Appalachian Mountains, right in through this corridor here with time. And as we progress toward the end of this, let me get those drawings off there so it's a little bit clearer. As we press through the day on Saturday, we can see more storms for the lower Mississippi River Valley as we progress to midday on Saturday. Switching over now to what the Storm Prediction Center is going to say for the next 3 days, we can see that overall the storms are less severe than what we've seen recently according to the Storm Prediction Center. This is Friday. This is what the day on Saturday looks like. But on Sunday, as the system kind of finally winds up in the northeast, we're going to have to watch the tail end of the front as it moves through the Carolinas and through parts of Georgia, because we will still feed on abundant moisture here, but we could have a decent enough wind shear profile to produce some pretty strong to severe thunderstorms that could move the parts of the Carolinas back into Georgia. So keep a close eye on the radar. Also, spc.noaa.gov. That's a great website to maintain kind of in your bookmarks there to watch for when there's severe weather. All right, let's now get over to the European model because this one will take us out 10 days here. Let's just click play. We've already talked about this, so watch it again here as we start this over. There we go. You can see the showers and thunderstorms through Saturday moving across much of the Mid-South, moving through across much of the southern region here. And then by Sunday morning, we can see they're still lingering here over parts of Mississippi and Alabama, and then through parts of Tennessee, Kentucky. And then watch, we move on Sunday to get those storms here over toward, the Carolinas, Virginia, and back into parts of Georgia. So that's our risk there on Sunday afternoon and evening. Let me step you back one. There you go. Whenever we see, remember, these stripes like this, that's an indicator that the European model, which is a lower resolution model, although it runs out a long time, but it's a lower resolution model, that's when it's picking up on a lot of convection or thunderstorms, okay? Now look at this. When we get into early next week, we do, it appears, get some calming down across the southern region as higher atmospheric pressure tries to take over. But we see that with the higher pressure sliding east with time, so now it's over parts of Tennessee, Kentucky by the time we get into Tuesday night to Wednesday morning. Once it gets back over the south, right over here, we're going to start to see our daily convection go back again. So this is why you saw that drier time period for next week, because Monday through Thursday, overall, there's no major weather systems coming through, okay? But with the high pressure settling back over the southeast again, when the jet stream gets back into a configuration, by the time we get out to probably the 18th, 19th, where we have a trough in the west and a ridge over the east. There it is. See that big ridge? Watch again. Central Plains light right back up with severe weather, and we're going to see multiple rounds of strong to severe storms. So again, we have that reprieve coming with some drier weather, but when we kind of put it all together, the pattern is telegraphing that it's only going to stay inactive for a little while. Here's the trough that sweeps through, cooling things off once we get to our weekend and early next week. To be on the back side of a trough is a drier pattern. So see this, we have this ridge trough. To be on the back side over here, this is the drier side of a trough. It's always the downstream side of the trough, the eastern side that's wet. So this is the drier time period. That's it. That's a beautiful look at a drier time period there. Just hit or miss, if anything. But look at what's barreling through the Pacific there, coming into California. The whole pattern is shifting, and we go right back into this. And that's the shape you don't want to see if you're right in this area. That just, again, is tap engulf moisture, lighting up the atmosphere with more of the same that we just saw over the last 15 to 20 days. So just prepare for after this calmer time period throughout much of next week. As we get into the 18th, 19th, and 20th, we're watching for the atmosphere to go right back into the pattern that it was in. So when we put that all together, look again at week 2. So again, this is starting next Friday going into the Friday following. We go ahead and go right back into a very active pattern in the center part of the country, which hits the south as well. So that is what we'll be updating you on all week next week. We'll be keeping a very close eye on it. And as we progress throughout the rest of this growing season, we'll see how this weather continues to impact planting progress and early season accumulation of rain and growing degree day units. With that, though, I'm going to wrap up this forecast video. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to our next Southern Region forecast, which will be coming out next Tuesday morning. But remember, at my.nutrienagsolutions.com, you can get all of our weather 5 days a week right there for free. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.